This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
What's going on, freaks? What's going on? Oh, good for you, Missy. Good for you. Whoa. Welcome, Tracy Seamer. Thanks, Regina Carter. Also, thanks to Stacy and Kelly Snyder on PayPal there for birthday wishes. Thank you. Yep. All right. So you guys know we have the scholarship fund. I was just thinking about that. See, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to put $6,000 from the income each year, I don't know, year actually, into the scholarship fund. But I think I'll make it, well, if you guys want to, if anybody else wants to put their own money in too, you know, you can write it off and we can make the scholarship bigger, but I'm going to put $6,000 in regardless. That's what I said I was going to do from the income from the channel. But if anybody out there wants to add their own money to the scholarship fund, I'll make a link to it. But I'm still going to be putting the $6,000 from the income in there. All right. Hey, thanks for all the happy birthdays. Strawberry Rain, Faith in Humanity. And here's what would be a great birthday gift if we can reach the goal tonight. It was a really struggle yesterday. Yeah, so we're going to put $6,000 in. If you guys want to put money in, you can put money in too, and then we can make it like three, you know, like, hell, if we had 9,000, we could give 3 different people 3,000 or 2 people 4,500. You know, who the hell knows? But whatever it is, I mean, I think we're going to start it in April. Will be when it's fully funded. Maybe a spring term sort of situation. Not really sure, but it should be pretty cool. Yep. Thanks, Paulette. Thanks, everybody, for the well wishes there. 58. Ugh, man, feeling old all of a sudden. Thank you, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal. And, you know, I don't normally, I haven't been talking about Greeno in a while, but just realized he put out a video today that was so ludicrous that he's claiming that he's the one that got a hold of law enforcement and got them to figure out who the person behind he's doing the same grifting shit that he did before. Okay, just letting you know, don't be fooled, everybody, don't be fooled. I actually asked law enforcement, an individual, did he do anything? And they said no. Okay, so it's just, that's what he does, fake crying, everything like that. It's absolutely embarrassing. So if you guys want to go out there and believe it, you can. But you're just going to fall for the same old crap yet again. All right. So, God, it's just disturbing as hell. Oh, you only look 63. All right. Cool, Faith. Inhumanity. Yeah. Man, it was just so shocking to see. Man, the same old grift. The fake crying. He didn't give two shits about anybody. All right, thanks. Hey, thanks, Karen Andrews. Happy birthday, Gray. I turned 59 on 9/28. Oh, so you're just slightly older than me. Or, well, a year and some odd. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. The comments are always what bother me the most. Like, oh, man, I feel your pain. Oh. He no less than 5 times mentioned that, oh, he's the one that let them know. He just didn't. Okay, I can just tell you he absolutely had nothing to do with anything that law enforcement did in that finding out who the leaker was. Oh yeah, you're 59. Awesome. Thank you, Ria Mazzarone and Circa Then. I mean, people actually, I mean, it's weird, like, buy into it. You know what he did a couple of years ago, before he got put in prison? He went like this. He was crying. Like he had to make sure that he was centered on the camera, kind of glancing up, making sure it was a good shot. Who the hell does that? If you're really crying, do you give a shit about where the camera is? Hey, thanks, Bridget Bauman and Wendy Johnson. Hey, happy birthday, Gray. You are much loved by many, as you should be. Hey, there's nothing wrong with 58. Yeah. Well, my biological father passed away at 59, but he smoked like a chimney. So hopefully, since I don't smoke like a chimney, that'll make a difference.
Happy birthday, Party Popper, Gray. Lol, I just turned 59 on the 28th of September. I feel old.
Wow, well, it's not old. Thanks, CR and Tamara. Not today, but tomorrow. There's another Tamara in here, Tamara.
Happy birthday, Gray.
I wasn't sure if that was you changing your name. Yeah, thanks, CR. Yeah, smoking's not good for you. I think everybody who smokes knows it's not good for them. So it's not like you can, hey, did you know smoking's not good for? Oh, wow, I'll quit tomorrow. I mean, you know. So let's see. What the hell? Oh, that's our outside Halloween stuff. Jesus. It's really loud. Yeah, so hold on, let me go over here. And so this is kind of how it's set up over here. See, it's the Grady Investigates donor dashboard, but down here are the two things. They have it set up where you can have a fundraiser part, and then there's the Fallen Freak scholarship, but you can only fund the scholarship.
Happy birthday, Gray.
I mean, you can fund it at any time. Like, I could fund it now and say, hey, we're getting... Hey, thanks, Kathy Chapin.
Smiley face.
I could send the 1,500 and that would be the scholarship. Then we'd have to do a new one. But I wanted to do 6,000. And so, I could put the link to the scholarship fund if anybody out there is interested. But, also on the channel, the income that comes in, I donate at the end of the month. Large chunks to get to that goal, but hell, I mean, I'm still going to put 6 in. So if let's say there was another 1,500 put in there, we could give out another 1,500 scholarship as well, and it would still be the freaks that are doing it, right? Just a portion wouldn't be coming from the income from the channel. Hey, thanks, T Bell. All right, so what I'll do is I'll post the link to that in the description and on the YouTube, like in the community section. And then maybe I'll even add it to like one of the lists there. I wasn't sure. I had to talk to the lady how it worked today. So it sounds like, yeah, I mean, anybody can send money in to it, but I'm still going to be putting in the 6. So whatever, however it works, right?
Happy birthday, Party Popper, present, Party Popper, present, Party Popper, present.
Yeah, here's the scholarship fund is right here, though. I mean, our actually scholarship.
I'll be back if you want.
Here, I'll show it to you. See, it's right here. Fallen Freaks Scholarship. 6,000. 2 winners. Down here it says criminal justice and forensic science majors will be the professionals of tomorrow. They write this for you. Will be responsible for the safety of the world. Ensuring the brightest, most passionate students enter these fields is essential to deter crime, provide answers to those who are grieving, and deliver justice. Financial means shouldn't prevent high potential students from completing their education and embarking on their careers. Our scholarship aims to support students. This scholarship aims to support students who are entering the fields of criminal justice and forensics to make an impact on the world. Any high school graduate or graduate student who is studying forensic science or criminal justice may apply for this scholarships. To apply, tell us why you're passionate about your chosen field and why a career in this field excites you. And then the essay topics tell us why. It's really cool because we can read them and we can pick which one. So there you go.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Tamara's Favorites. That's the other one, Elaine Tolling. Ding, ding, ding. I feel like something got skipped. Yeah, well, not much. Anyways, thank you guys for the birthday super chats there. Appreciate it. I'm going to do a show. I don't know if it's going to be right after the hearing, Karen. Does it need to be right after the hearing? I just like to wait to see what is reported on it. Then we can put it together and go over it. I'm not going to do it during it. You can go watch the other people who rarely ever covered the case, but when the big parts come out, they'll do a show. We're like, oh, gimme. And so they make sure that they're always covering it when the big moment happens, but never any sort of random, just... I think the defense team's going to be admonished. I don't know what about. I don't really know. It sounds like there might be arrests made, though, in terms of the leaking. So I don't know what the hell's going on. But it's also possible that the person who was going to be arrested is no longer alive. Hey, thanks, Eugenie. Yeah. That's right, LM. The person who passed away, killed himself, I actually have... I was given his name on September 26th. That's how much way before the murder sheet. Murder shit, whatever the hell you want to call him. Let's see, we got the... Here, I'll show you just this one. All right. So you got this thing right here. There's that one. I think this one. Yeah, look how lame this is. This is October 14th. An investigation by the Murder Sheet podcast, certain elements of which have been confirmed by Fox 59, indicate an alleged leak of... Well, guess what? I had a show the night before their podcast saying the exact same thing. But because they're the Murder Sheet, everybody, they are so good. They are the greatest channel in the whole world of anything. They are above reproach, the greatest. Hey, thanks, Wendy. Yeah, so I actually talked about it a night before, right? And they, let me just tell you guys, they told a couple other podcasters, few podcasters, to not say a word. Don't say anything. It's just, things might get in trouble. And you know why they said that? Because they were working on their podcast. Because the very next day, after telling those other people not to say anything, voila! There they are, with a complete story on the leak. And now you know this was a thought in their head. Oh my God, we can't be scooped on this one. Okay, tell everybody else that might have a show that we know. Don't do it. Don't cover it. There's something. We got to hurry up and cover it the next day. Really, hurry up. Let's get the podcast. Yeah, the podcast. They just wanted to be the ones. I'm not even exaggerating. Exactly. Those clowns right there that you saw on the screen told everybody else not to do it so that they could be the one that put out the podcast, and there they are. They get to be on Fox 59 and everything like that. I could have beat them by 2 weeks if I wanted to, but I didn't. Okay. Well, that's your fault, Gray. No, it's, you know what it is? It's calling having morals. A little bit of ethics here and there. But just think about that for a minute. Just let it sort of sink in. That they told other podcasters, people that trusted them, and told them not to talk about it because it would hurt the defense team and then also the prosecutor, which is total bullshit, right? So they weren't really sure where the podcasters were leaning, that they were talking to. So they said, either the defense or the prosecution, it's going to affect everything. And next morning, bam, they get that sucker out as fast as possible. Probably heard that I even mentioned it. Oh God, we got to hurry up. We got to one up it though. We got to give it initials. How much you want to bet? Because remember how I didn't say any names? I didn't say any names at all when I said that one of the leakers killed themselves. You remember that part? Then they get up in the morning and there's an initial. Okay, because they wanted to make sure. Oh God, I had the name on September 26th. Okay. Yeah. I could have said it a long time ago. Didn't do it though. Nah, I'm telling you guys, they're not who they pretend they are. I can tell you that. Absolutely not these. Oh, they're just sort of these peace-loving, sort of helpful, kind of just investigative, curious podcaster types. Yeah, nothing like that at all, man. They are the. Yeah, I used to kind of buy into that myself, but just seeing this whole thing and some of the more, just how they treated me a while back. That was my first guess, but then after that, this latest stuff, wow, absolutely embarrassing. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake. Happy birthday, Gray. You deserve an awesome day. Well, let me tell you how the day went. Hey, when people say, how's it going? When you walk by somebody in a hall and you say, how's it going? Do you really give a shit? Honestly. Like if they stopped you after you said, how are you doing? They went, well, I'll tell you what, man. God, my dog barfed on the carpet just before I left the house, and I had to get some Ajax and dump it on that thing, but the lid fell off the Ajax can and spread all over the carpet like powdered sugar. So then I got my vacuum out, and when I did that, the Ajax got in the air, and I had to go get a mask, but I didn't have a mask, so I went out to my car and got mine, but then lo and behold, there was mold on the mask that I was going to use to vacuum. Like, would you really want to listen to that? Hey, thanks, Kit Kat. Yeah. No, I'm just saying when you walk by, never mind. At work when you walk by somebody, if somebody literally, you went, hey, how's it going? You didn't really expect them to say and stop and give you a soliloquy. Hey, thanks, Kit Kat. Happy birthday. Kit Kat, one of the originals. Yeah. And I don't even remember what the point I was going to make was. Oh, well. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I was actually going to talk about... Oh, yeah, somebody said, how was your day? Da, 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 da. Yeah, so, when I have, like, Comcast Xfinity television. So I spent 3 hours on the phone with them today. I mean, it was just unbelievable for something that I had the answer for. So, using your device, you're connected to Wi-Fi. You should be able to watch Wi-Fi, your entire cable, using like the Xfinity streaming app. But for some reason, it only worked on my Samsung tablet. I couldn't watch it on my phone, or basically on the computer it didn't work, and also didn't work on the television set. So I was just like, what in the hell is going on here? And just after hours and hours and hours and hours, it turns out that when we added our kids to the account a while back, and then my wife did something at the post office where you change addresses, we thought we already fixed all this, but when you do that, the post office sends letters back to the companies, and then things are updated there. And it turns out our kids' address became the default sign-in. And they don't even have cable TV. They didn't even want cable TV. They just wanted to have internet and other shit like that. So when my TV tried to connect, it defaulted to theirs, and it said, hey, you don't even have a streaming service. So it turns out at the very end, they just disconnected me from... Our accounts were disconnected, separated from each other. And then boom, it worked like in 2 seconds. After all that time. And I kept saying, man, I think it's defaulting to their... Wasn't that the most boring story you've ever heard in your life? But anyways, that's what I spent for 3 hours. Yes, Gray, it really was. Almost the most boring story you've ever. Yeah, well, it was unbelievable to sit there that whole day and to God. All the different things trying. Let's try to reset your modem. Oh, God. How many times have you guys heard that one? Hey, let's try to reset. I mean, sometimes that does help something. But... Now, let's see what some of these articles say here. An investigation by the Murder Sheet podcast, certain elements of which have been confirmed by Fox 59, indicates an alleged leak of sensitive crime scene evidence by Richard Allen's defense team that could derail the early 2024 trial of the man accused of killing 2 young girls. And right after that it says, a podcaster named Grady Hughes Investigates said it first, but because we like the Murder Sheet more, we're going to give them the credit for coming up with the theory. The past Thursday, Special Judge Fran Gohl of Allen County... No, hey, thanks, Gwendolyn B. Now, actually, what it would read is, a podcaster Grady Hughes mentioned it the other night, but because the Murder Sheet had all the other podcasters not mention it, we thought they were the ones that came up with it first on their podcast the next day. This past Thursday, Special Judge Fran Gohl of Allen County issued an order for a hearing on October 19th in her Fort Wayne courtroom to discuss the upcoming hearing on October 31st. So it's kind of weird. You're having an order for a hearing on October 19th to discuss another hearing. I mean, that's weird, right? Like, you're having a hearing to discuss another hearing. An upcoming hearing on October 31st and other matters which have recently arisen. And I think we all know what those are. In fact, we already knew the leak. When do you guys think the first leak was? The first major leak was the 136-page document. That's when massive, sort of like, I don't know if you want to call it proprietary information was released to the public. A description, specific descriptions of the crime scene, things that only law enforcement knew. They gave that stuff up, which is absolutely horrendous for the defense to do that. And everybody knew the defense was doing it. There was never a question out there. Like, the Murder Sheet makes it seem like, Holman and those guys are really wow, who did somebody in law enforcement? So here's the thing is, The murder sheet is like pro-defense. They've been that way for the last few months and everything. But they see the writing on the wall here, that they're the ones that release this stuff. So they're shifting gears a little bit, but they're still trying to pay homage to their friends by sort of saying, yeah, well, we weren't sure. It could have been law enforcement too that was leaking this stuff. There would be zero reason for law enforcement to leak that information. Zero. The only real reason to leak the information would be by the defense, who wanted to counter the probable cause document that was so damning towards Richard Allen. When that came out, it looked so bad for Richard Allen. So they go, ooh, 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 here we go. We can do the Odin stuff. We can do this. We can do that. La, 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 la. Head fake here, head fake there. Head fake everywhere. Hey, thanks, LM. Yeah, well, thanks, LM. Why did Barbara have what information? No, she just, over the years had worked with law enforcement, so she might have had some, was there really an F? Well, it looked kind of more like this. That's not the other information. She didn't have the information about Libby's clothing on Abby, right? Yeah, I don't think I ever got... I saw a notification of something Ada put up, but I never got to see it. I guess I'll have to check it out. No, Mary Lou is boycotting. She doesn't sing on my birthday. Yeah. Jessica Schubach. Thank you. Yeah, I ate way too much chocolate cake. Yep, I did. I mixed it with raspberry ice cream with chips in it. That was pretty good. Yeah. Let's see. This past Thursday special... Yeah, we already did that. Okay, so those other matters most likely include the revelation that a handful of Delphi crime scene evidence items had been circulating among the social media community that is focused on the murders of Abby and Libby and Abigail Williams and Liberty German. It shouldn't be Abby Williams and Liberty. Usually you say the whole name when you're doing their last name. Near the Monenhigh Bridge on February 13, 2017. It was just a year ago that Richard Allen was arrested and charged with those killings. Allen's attorney, Andrew Baldwin of Franklin, and Bradley Rossi of Logansport first earned the ire of Judge Gould last December, when just weeks after the appointment, the team released a 3-page press release blasting the case against their client. In response, Judge Gould issued a gag order on all parties, assuring that Allen's guilt or innocence would be debated in a Carroll County courtroom and not in the media.
Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Happy birthday, Gray. Hope you had some chocolate cake, party face, shortcake.
They're just not anybody who they try to claim they are, Zozo. They're not good people. That's the truth. Should have listened to you a long time ago on that one. I mean, in some ways, I was glad to see some of those, like the 198-page document, all those other things. It was good having that information. I'm talking about more like the crime scene stuff, Those guys, man. Let's see. Okay, then this past spring, an inadvertent leak of discovery evidence popped up on social media, and Allen's attorneys took responsibility for the mistake, resulting in an admonishment from the court to more carefully guard the state's discovery documents. I'm not sure which document that was, but was that the probable cause document? I don't think so. I think that was actually released. No, that was released by the courts because it's a public document. Hey, thank you so much, WNC Granny. Yeah, it's been okay other than the 3 hours I spent, like I was saying before, but Then let's see, September was marked by a flurry of defense filings claiming the state had withheld evidence and misled the original judge in seeking a search warrant for Allen's home while trotting out a theory that cultists could have committed the murders. Those filings drew a sharp rebuke from Carroll County's prosecutor Nicholas McClellan, who decried what he referred to as sensationalistic and unsubstantiated claims.
Happy birthday, Grant.
It's worse than
Hope
that,
it's
though.
been a good one. Birthday cake, party popper, balloon.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. Now it appears that over the last month, social media discussions have centered around what would seem to be specific inside knowledge of the defense team's strategy and evidence, as well as claims that certain crime scene evidence had been acquired, though not published. The Murder Sheet podcast, Kevin Greenlee and Anya Kane, the most sleuthy of all YouTubers or podcasters out there, and confirmed to Fox 59 that a social media source revealed to them the existence of those evidentiary items on October 5th. Yeah, well, okay. You're a day late and $1 short there. That tip led the podcasters to confirm the identities of persons associated with the leaked information. Right. Well, that was already known in September, okay? One of those persons identified as reportedly a former professional associate of Baldwin's. Facebook messages reviewed by Fox 59 contained discussions by two other people, a man from Hamilton County who reportedly received the information from the former Baldwin associate, and a Texas man with whom he shared that information. Hey, thanks, Simply Me. You know, it's weird as I actually, I know there's people watching right now that know exactly all this stuff, but knew it way before any of this. In other messages from earlier this month, the Facebook author writes he is supposed to go to Franklin during the upcoming weekend and that he just wants a fair fight for the defense while blasting the prosecution. That was followed up by a handful of messages from October 5th. Let's see. As the same participant refers to my guy, as he's going to be with Andy tonight. He was talking about going down Saturday. There are also messages where the sender asked the recipient to protect me in the release of evidentiary items as the two correspondents discuss how best to cover their tracks while referring presumably to an individual involved in the inadvertent leak of defense evidence last spring. Greenlee and Kane told Fox 59 that the Texas social media Delphi follower contacted them when he became aware of the explosive and sensitive nature of the leak information and urged them to contact Indiana State Police investigators so as to not run afoul of the court's gag order. It's funny, too, because the person that I was talking to that told me about it, I said the same thing, but it was before that. I said, man, you should give this information over. Yeah, so. Well, no. Yeah. Cable snaps. Thank you, Simply Me. Fox 59 has learned that an individual named as one of the social media followers involved in the leak died unexpectedly. That's because he killed himself. He didn't die These people are so worried. It's called he killed himself, all right? Fox 59 has reached out to Allen's defense team for comment, which likely will not be forthcoming due to the gag order. Legal experts consulted by Fox 59 indicate that a leak of this nature, considering earlier orders, this is going to be terrible watch, from the judge might result in either another warning from the bench or a dismissal of the attorneys and the appointment of a new legal team. I bet it's going to be that level right there. Because it's horrendous. I think it's going to be that level where they're going to replace the attorneys. Unfortunately for society, the crazy Odinist ideas have already been put out there so that the wackos that follow channels like True Crime Decline and the other ones out there that believe in the craziest shit in the world. By the way, everybody, apparently, this is incredible, everybody. Apparently, the heart shirt that Becky Patty put out is got some cultist vibes to it, everybody, because that YouTuber said so. Unbelievable. Hey, thanks, Esther M. and Wild Mountain Time. Do you guys want to see this thing? It's so embarrassing. These people are disgusting people, right? Let's see. Here, let's show this one, okay? I just got to show it to you. Thank you, Jess Junie. All right, here we go. Wow, look how sleuthy this is. By True Crime Decline. So here's this symbol, Federal Bureau of Investigation Intelligence Bureau. Okay, so these are some sort of pedophiles to include these, yada, 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 yada. And then there's these heart things right here, right? There's hearts. And, you know, like, here's this thing. These are pedophile type designs that they use. Oh, and my God, everybody. 4th annual Abby and Libby Memorial. Oh, it's got to be then. Oh! You see how crazy these people are? I mean, absolute nut jobs. Literally trying to claim that... Oh, look at another one. Abby and Libby. Oh, there's a heart and some music in there. Oh! So let me ask you something. Abby and Libby fighting to make today is the day. What? Oh, let's see. Oh, let's see. Oh, ooh. Let's look at this again. Let's look at this again. Hold on. Oh, the butterfly. Oh, God, look at that. It can't be that a butterfly is a nice, peaceful little character, right? Like, look at, see, they're saying, look, the butterfly there. And that, and then because there's a heart inside of a heart, and therefore that's what this is. So what True Crime Decline is claiming is that, and she really is like the decline of true crime. You know, that's what's weird. The name should just be automatically changed. Is they're trying to imply that the whole family is associated with, I don't even want to say it. I mean, you know, like, the topic of the beginning of the images there. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. But look at these idiots down here. Glad to see someone sharing this information. I discovered this while researching everything 3 years ago. It's pure evil. What has been going on? Well, you sound like an absolute moron. Okay, let's see. What's next? Hey, thanks, Carolina T. It's right in front of everybody's face who was involved. Thank you for this information, even though it's quite disturbing. Doesn't that disturb you guys that there's so many people? What is the number? 52 comments in a row, all believing this crap, okay? Oh, I better remove this. It'll end up being... See, Gray, what are you doing here if you don't... Okay, I was hoping you'd cover this. Yeah, because, you know, look at... Everybody was onto it, man. They were all onto it. And this girl was hoping she would cover it because they had already been looking into it, right? Also, does the graphic designer that creates the artwork for the t-shirt work at the shop that Kelsey worked at? Let's see. I was hoping you'd comment because I forgot the father's son's name. Oh. Do you guys feel the same way I do when you read this stuff? Seriously. It's disgusting. I mean, not only have they lost, their grandchild and sister, but they keep going after him. Now they're accusing them of being pedophiles. You don't find that to just... Why are people okay with this? Yeah, I mean... let's see. This definitely isn't just in Carroll County. Like, okay, it's a given that that's what it means. But man, this just isn't in... There's symbolism everywhere. These symbols make predators look so innocent and harmless, hiding in plain sight. Their symbols will be their downfall. And your brain, yours. Let's see, what's the next one? Hey, thanks, Charlotte Denny. Actually, that last one fits this one perfectly. Listen to this, listen.
Stupid is being nice. You're an absolute moron.
That's the new Grady Judd one, all right?
Stupid is being nice. You're an absolute moron.
There you go. There you go. Hey, thank you so much, Charlotte Denny. That was very, very kind of you. Very kind. But how many of you are disturbed out of your mind just seeing that that's out there, and it's an actual YouTuber putting that out on their channel? Live free or die. Man, you're throwing me in prison that early? Holy crap, what did I do this time? Oh, there we go. He's already in prison early on, everybody. Good evening, PJ's Second Chance. Let's see, PJ's Second Chance. So your boyfriend's name is PJ, and you gave him a second chance? Is that right? Bring, oh, it's, man. I'd like to just do a whole video just because it's so disgraceful to go through the comments that are public comments that have been made there. It's no different than going over something you'd see on Twitter where you see these crazy people out there supporting Hamas or something, right? So it's the same kind of thing. Yeah, I guess I'm going to stay in jail all night because it's just kind of the way it is.
Happy birthday.
Hey, look at that. WNC Granny put some bail in there. So after that, we're going to play there's a cold case that was solved. And then there's some Brian Koberger stuff regarding the two surviving roommates. Was it Bethany Funk and how come I don't remember the other one? Jeez. Yeah. Let's see. Live Free or Die. Tracy Seamer. Birthday Boy Nail? What? Is that Bale or Boy Nail? Shit, man. Birthday Boy Bale. I thought it was like Boy Nail. That's okay. I can get out of here. I didn't really deserve prison anyway. Gray, you know where you stand. That's why we're here. We appreciate all you do. Well, thanks, Kathy Chapin.
For bail.
Yes, hyoid bone. Do it again, everybody. Try to say hyoid bone 3 times fast. And then type in what you really said. I say hyoid boing, hyoid boing. The first time when I'm trying to say it fast is hyoid boing. Hey, wow, thanks so much. Bama forever. I was in jail just because I did a rant. I wasn't really deserving of jail, but somebody threw me in. But thank you. Thanks everybody for the happy birthday wishes. Hi, oi, boing. Bone. I can't even say what you said, Baz B. I can't even read that one. No, you can't, Daryl. I know you can't. Yeah, so let's see. Thank you all for donating. Snitches. Let's see. I think you can do it if you focus in on being able to say bone. Hyoid bone, hyoid bone, hyoid bone. But if you just do it without trying to preconceive, say I just did it, right? Like if you don't try to say bone, you can't do it. Like you just try to say the word.
100.
Right. But don't do it that way. Forget the word bone, just try to say it. Yeah, boing. Yeah, I know, right. That's what I'm saying. I say boing just like Zozo said. Like if I try, even in the first one.
Birthday boy now.
Poor Blaze. Boings, 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 shoing, boing. Yeah.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Have you
Bring me
compared?
where you stand, that's why we are here. We appreciate all you do.
No, I haven't. Doesn't sound interesting. Everybody sees all these connections all the time.
Happy birthday. Birthday cake. Party face. Party popper. Balloon.
Yeah, why don't you guys sing happy birthday to me? Let's go. Okay. Someone, you type something in and then somebody else says something. And oh, it used to be D and K Reck. Now it's live free or die. How's everything going in your situation over there? They've been going through some crazy crap. Okay, happy birthday. And then somebody said happy birthday to you. That's not working.
Stopping by to wish you a happy birthday. WTH, you're in jail.
Okay! Hey, what's going on?
What do you mean? Are you okay, Mary Lou?
What do you mean, Greg?
Well, it sounds like you've been drinking like a lot of liquor. It sounds like you've been drinking like all day long.
I've been drinking all day today. I've been drinking a lot today, Greg.
Oh my God. I mean, you guys hear that? Mary Lou sounds like she is absolutely wasted.
Okay, but somebody told me it was your birthday today.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, you don't need to, you can barely even speak. So, yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay, I really wanted to do it.
Oh my God. She's going to do it anyways, you guys. I can't stop her.
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday, dear Greg! Happy birthday to you!
Oh my God. That was literally the worst birthday song that I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's not very nice, Greg.
Oh God. Well, thank God she wasn't like. Let's see. Man, that was god awful. You gotta admit. Sound like a horse dying. Did you hear what Gray said, everybody? He said horse dying. How would he know what a horse sounded like when it died unless he killed one? Oh my God, everybody, Gray kills horses. Did you hear that, everybody? He kills... Oh, jeez. That's how the psycho trolls work out there. That's how they work. I don't even think Mary Lou knew what my name was. She just kept saying happy birthday to you. You know, there was no Gray. There was nothing personalized about it. You know, and...
I think so, Greg. I just wanted to say it.
Oh, God. All right. You'll need some more comment to clean up the barf now. Yes, I will. And the vacuum and the mask from the car. Don't forget that. Well, the mask in the car had the mold on it, so now I have to go to the store to get a better mask. Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't know anything. Yeah. All right. All right, you guys want to watch the Grady Judd? Well, let's go do this part first. Hold on. Yeah, you go back in time, you guys. You go back in time, just like we always do. Here we go. This is on October 29th. Looks like it might have happened on October 27th. A 29-year-old nurse was brutally... This is in Tampa, Florida. Or it looks like Lakeland, actually. It says, a 29-year-old nurse was brutally stabbed to death in her home sometime before she was to leave for work Monday night, said Polk County Sheriff's spokesman Harold Cook. Sheriff's detectives are taking every lead they've got and running with it, but they have not targeted a suspect or determined a motive for the slaying of Teresa Scalf, or Scalf, it's S-C-A-L-F, 29 of 1305. Let's see where that is. I like to see the house. It's always weird. 1305 Fairway Drive, Lakeland, Florida. So here we go. Yeah, well, I was done with the story, Cindy. It's not, you know, it's not like, what does Cindy need me to cover next? Oh, look at that. There's actually Street View on this little crappy... Good job, Street View guy. Yeah, so right here... All I hope is that someday if there's a murder and it's by... thanks, Cindy, and also Miss Simpson on PayPal. Yeah, like if there's a murder by a guy that is a Google Earth Street View person, I hope they don't call him Street View Guy. You know what I mean? Yeah, Scalf's body was found at 10:17 p.m. Monday by her mother, Cook said. Autopsy results showed that the woman died of multiple stab wounds and abrasions on her neck, Cook said. He said the medical examiner had not determined the time of her death. A next-door neighbor, Dolores Taylor, said that neither she nor her children heard anything suspicious from Scalf's brown brick duplex home Monday. It freaks me out, Taylor said. It makes me want to move. I mean, this is a nice neighborhood. You wouldn't think it could happen here. Hanging on Scalf's front door was a paper Halloween skeleton. Taped over the skeleton was a sign stating Polk County Sheriff's Department. So that's, it's interesting. That's the same. Grady Judd runs that. Keep out, crime scene. Nobody answered knocks at the front door of the duplex attached to Scalf's home, but a dog barked loudly inside. Huh? Let's see. Scalf's mother, Betty Scalf, could not be reached for comment. A woman who answered her telephone and described herself as a family friend said, "We have no comment, thank you." Authorities said Teresa had an 8-year-old son who was being cared for Tuesday by her mother. I wonder, where was the kid at the time? Was he in the house? Or started working at Lakeland Regional Medical Center in June 1980, and the hospital spokesperson Cindy Walsh said, that spokeswoman, she was a lab assistant, then in the medical laboratory. Walsh said in October 1981, Teresa Scalf was a student respiratory therapy technician and was certified in the position 3 months later, Well said. Hey, thanks, Kathy Friedenmaker. Hey, thanks for the happy birthday well wishes. In January of this year, Scalf began her nursing career as a general nurse and passed her state board examination in April to become a registered nurse. Since then, she had been working in the surgical intensive care unit at the Lakeland Hospital on the 11 p.m. to 7 p.m. Since she was at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, Wall said. She last worked on Thursday and was scheduled to work Monday night. Wow, so she kind of disappeared. Well, I guess it was over the weekend. Her coworkers declined to talk to reporters, Wall said. It's a pretty difficult time now. And there was another one in 4 days later. Polk County Sheriff investigators still are trying to determine the motive for the stabbing death of a Lakeland nurse last Monday. Teresa Scalf, a 29-year-old registered nurse at Lakeland Regional Medical Center, was killed sometime Monday in her duplex. An autopsy showed that the woman died of multiple stab wounds and abrasions to her neck. Sheriff Sergeant Don Namath of the Criminal Investigation Division said Friday, we still haven't established a motive or suspect. And then there was another article that mentioned her name. This is actually, I think this was 2000 and the hell was the date on this thing? It's 2003. So it says detectives are hoping new evidence will help solve the murder of Lakeland Regional Medical Center nurse found dead in her Lakeland home 17 years ago. Teresa Lee Scalf was 29 years old when she was killed October 27, 1986, in the duplex she shared with her 8-year-old son. Polk County Sheriff Office detectives investigating her death won't say what type of new evidence exists other than to say it's reliable. Detective Tommy Van Sciver said the information was gathered in the last few months and detectives are not ready to release what the new evidence is. Scalf's relatives said they are hoping the new evidence and DNA technology will help solve her murder. I hope they can do something this time. So this is back in 2003, and they nailed it, though. I mean, whoever asked that question absolutely nailed it. So, let's see. There's also a 2007 article where it just kind of popped up for a second. It's talking about, right here it mentions, 4 months earlier, October 26, Teresa Scalf was stabbed in her home 4 miles south of Michelle and Leo. See, I actually think that the killer in this case might be a serial killer. So let's just play the news conference now.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. I'm joined today by the Scalf family. This is Pam Shade, who is a sister, Betty Scalf, who's mom, Lynn Scalf, who is a sister, Teresa Wooters, who is a granddaughter, and our expert, who is not related, David Nutting. He's a retired Orange County homicide detective, now working in private enterprise. We are pleased to announce there's an old saying that it's better late than never. Well, this is late, but it's better late than never. Let me introduce you to Teresa Scalf. 37 years ago, on October 27th of this year, she was murdered. She was viciously murdered. She was only 29 years old, and she was viciously murdered by an unknown suspect. She had defensive wounds where she fought this suspect off, but he aggressively stabbed her and cut her. Now, I'm giving graphic details only because Mom said I could, because you don't mess with Mom. And
Yeah, it's cool to have one of these cases involving Grady Judd, don't you think? Like we have a lot of Grady Judd clips that we put on here, and it's just really neat that he's involved in one of the DNA cases now. It's Othram Lab, unfortunately, but yeah, it's.
I would never say this without her saying. He cut her.
What do you mean they almost caught him? Where does it say that in the article? Or what he said so far, Zozo? That they almost caught him 37 years ago. Did he just say that? I must have missed it. Let's see. We'll start over again.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. I'm joined today by the Scalf family. This is Pam Shade.
They make it hard for any of the other people to do it. They go in and buy it. Just behind the scenes stuff, KT. You're not aware of. So.
Who is a sister, Betty Scalf, whose mom.
Where did it say that, Zozo?
Lynn Scalf, who is a sister, Teresa Wooters, who is a granddaughter, and our.
Oh yeah. Well, today's October 16th, 27th. The video down here actually says October 16th. I think it's just the date of this press conference, but I thought like they were doing it on the 1-year anniversary.
Expert who is not related, David Nutty.
Oh, I see your wording
Orange
now.
County homicide detective, now working in private enterprise. We are pleased to announce there's an old saying that it's better late than never. Well, this is late, but it's better late than never. Let me introduce you to Teresa Scalf. 37 years ago, on October 27th of this year, she was murdered. She was viciously murdered. She was only 29 years old, and she was viciously murdered by an unknown suspect. She had defensive wounds where she fought this suspect off, but he aggressively stabbed her and cut her. Now, I'm giving graphic details only because Mom said I could, because you don't mess with Mom, and I would never say this without her saying. He cut her head almost off. It was violent, and it was horrible. There was a full investigation at the time to try to find who did this. Mom discovered her daughter and called us, and you'll hear more about that in a minute. Detectives worked on the case at the time. I remember the case vividly. We worked and we worked and we worked. Teresa at the time was a registered nurse at then Lakeland General Hospital, which is now Lakeland Regional Health. We never gave up on this case. We investigated it through the years, and I want you to clearly understand when this occurred in 1986, there was no DNA. There was no DNA genealogy. We knew that we had Teresa's blood, and we had another unknown source of blood, but there was no way to match that. Then in the 2000s, CODIS came along. So we took our suspect's blood that we'd run a DNA on and put it in the CODIS database, certain that we would get a hit for someone who would viciously murder this beautiful young lady. Nothing at all. And the investigation went on. We suspected a lot of people. We talked to a lot of people. There were literally thousands of hours of investigative work that went into this case. But as technology improved, one of our detectives, Matt Newbolt, who is not only assigned to homicide, but cold case homicide, had Teresa Scalf's photograph on his desk from early 2015. He said, I'm going to figure out who murdered Teresa. And that's exactly what he did. This is who murdered Teresa, Donald Douglas. He was 33 at the time of the murder. He's dead. He died of natural causes when he was 54 years old. He and his brother owned D&D Electric. His brother is also deceased. As it turns out, Donald lived.
Wow, Caligal3, thank you. Happy birthday to the best creator on YouTube. It's an awesome case conclusion with the Judd. Exactly. But hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But look how crazy this is. Apparently, we'll hear in a minute, this guy has never been arrested for anything. And that's why you think he's a serial killer. Because those guys are really careful outside of what they're doing. You don't do... See, this is one of those things like, you don't do what he did to her and then that's just it. Okay, this isn't one of those one-timer, well, he was just kind of... He went nuts in there. Almost cut her head off. But, here, let's listen to the... I don't know. I guess we'll find out all the stuff they know in this. They're probably going to let us know almost everything because they're, you know, he's not alive, so... So hold on a second. I want to hear the... Look at that guy. Jeez. Died of natural causes. How sad is that? I'm trying to figure out why it's not. I think that's the delay amount of time. There's a long period. Oh, there it is. Oh, look, it's right on his face. Hold on. Okay, that was pretty good.
Happy birthday to the best creator on YouTube. This is an awesome case conclusion with the Judd.
Well, thank you so much, Caligal3.
Lived behind Teresa. Detectives talked to Donald at the time of the event as they were doing neighborhood canvases.
Wow, crazy.
But there was nothing at all out of the ordinary.
And that's scary. That means
we know that
was comfortable.
Matt worked with our colleague here that retired from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. He's going to talk to you. Othram is a private lab that does genealogy DNA. Matt, once he found out that we were able to work a genealogy on the DNA, had to trace this case back to 1949 when a third cousin to Donald Douglas had an affair and had a child not by her husband. So we traced DNA and genealogy back to 1949 and an illicit affair that led us in the direction of ultimately Donald Douglas. When we were able to work the genealogy up into the modern era, Matt met with Donald Douglas's son and said, hey, we'd like a blood sample. We're working a murder investigation. The son to Donald Douglas was totally cooperative and was in horrible shock. His dad, and here's the key to it, had never, ever, ever been arrested. Ever. Donald's son was certain that Matt Newbolt, Detective Newbolt, was just chasing another dead end because there was no way in the world his dad would murder anyone. But he cooperated because that's what good Americans do. He provided the DNA. We took it back to the lab. The lab said, hey, that DNA is the son of the person who did the murder. And that's how we found Donald Douglas. If it weren't for modern science, we still would wonder how in the world or who in the world murdered this beautiful registered nurse that worked in a trauma unit, saving lives.
Yeah, some are, but we don't. Sometimes we don't really know.
And died that fateful night.
Sometimes there's one murder, but we don't know because they didn't leave DNA at the other murders. There's just that one murder that they left DNA at, but can't prove that they did the other ones. And some there really are just one murder, you know. So
Words can't explain the graphicness and horribleness that we saw and that Mom discovered when she was called
thanks, Bethany.
when her child didn't show up for work. Mom knew that wasn't how it was. But before we get to the family, I would like to ask David to come up and tell you a little bit about what he does, and then he turns that data over to the detectives, and we have to then do investigative legwork, which Matt Newbolt, and I asked Matt if he wanted to speak, and he said, no, I'm good, boss. He's going to be my subject matter expert anyway, and I'm going to bring him up and introduce him in a minute, because he traced this back from 1949 and an affair with a third.
Yeah, that makes that really tough. I mean, the 1949 part is ho-hum, but the fact that it was a child from an affair makes it brutal. I mean, like, that's where you get the giving up for see, we had one of my mom's sisters had a child that they gave up for adoption when they were really young, like a baby, you know. And so this lady found us later in life. And that lady, when I tried to do because she was looking for a relative, she was on GEDmatch. And when I tried to do my pretend I'm looking for myself, hers popped up on there, which was like, you know, a first cousin. I mean, like right there. But I wouldn't, the crazy part though, is if I didn't know that she existed as a first cousin, she would have shown up there and would have been a nightmare that I would have had to try to find out. So I just eliminated her from my experiment. Hey, thanks, Slapstick, 1973. Because when you have somebody like that, you don't know, when you're giving up for adoption, the parents, unless there's somebody else in the system, you don't really know, you know, it's really difficult, really difficult.
Cousin between neighbors a long, long time ago. So David, come up and talk about that.
Thank you, Sheriff. Like the Sheriff said, my name is David Nutting. I work for Othram, a Texas-based lab that specializes in developing genetic samples from crime scene evidence and submitting that to law enforcement. And it's important to note that no case is solved by Othram. The cases are resolved, as the Sheriff said, by the hard work of law enforcement. Othram is grateful that we are trusted to provide actionable investigative leads to law enforcement in unresolved investigations. This has been achieved by Othram's proven technology, which has demonstrated success after success. Today's resolution represents the 106th publicly announced case resolution this year alone by Othram. Whenever there is any DNA available to potentially resolve cases, no matter how little or how bad the condition of the DNA, there is always a potential for case resolution. Othram is working through cutting-edge research and development to develop investigative leads for law enforcement agencies throughout the world. Teresa's family now has answers. The resolution of Teresa's murder continues to create awareness of the thousands of other unresolved homicides throughout the United States. The Murder Accountability Project reports from 1965 to 2021, there are over 330,000 unresolved homicides in the United States. The technology exists to resolve these cases. We're only limited by lack of funding. Othram will continue to work to raise awareness, increase funding, and bring resolution to cases throughout Florida. Thank you.
We do our own funding. Maybe we should get a hold of Grady Judd.
We're fortunate that
For
we
free.
live in Polk County and we have a board of county commissioners that appropriately funds us to do our job. Because funding is not an issue when we're investigating and trying to solve homicides for people's family and bring murder suspects to
Hey, thanks for all the happy
to
birthday
justice.
wishes. Thank you.
Now, I want to introduce to you Pam Shade, who I said once again is the sister of Teresa. Pam is a registered nurse.
Hey, thank you, Ali79. Very kind, very kind.
And she's had to live with this burden
Thank you.
along with the rest of the family. At the same time, she goes to work every day and saves people's lives and works to make people well and heal people. Pam, it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm Pam. I'm Teresa's second sister.
Stand right up here.
Thank
and
you.
talk in the microphone.
The first thing that I would like to say is Teresa was a wonderful person, the most loving person. She didn't deserve this. Our family didn't deserve this. My mother had just lost my brother of 23 years old, a year and a half before she discovered my sister's body in that condition. Can you even imagine what that would be? But she held it together. She made it to the phone because we didn't have cells back then. Found the number that my sister had hanging there for her 8-year-old son and was able to get the police there. My mother did that. I don't know how many people would have that much strength to do what she did. My sister signed me up for nursing school and said, "You'd be a good nurse." I had just gotten out of the military. I did not work in nursing. And I said, "No." She says, "Oh, just go take the test." I've been a nurse 38 years now, 38 years. Almost our whole family works in healthcare pretty much due to her. My brother is a trauma nurse. My sister works in mental health. My mother worked at the hospital for 25 years. All due to her. It was all due to her. She started off at the bottom, nursing assistant. She went to respiratory school and she got her RN and was so proud. I have never seen anyone more proud. She said, "I did it. Pam did it."
Hey,
And she
thanks,
was dead
Miss
a month later
Skis.
after we had this
Happy
conversation.
birthday. Great.
It was
birthday
very
cake.
hard. There's a few things I would like to say. That my family wants to acknowledge law enforcement for everything they have done. They didn't give up. They didn't give up all these years. They just kept working. And we were called. I was notified. Detective Newbold especially would call and talk to me and say, you know, what do you think about this? Or how about this? And I'm trying not to bother you. And I'm thinking, bother us, please. Please bother us. He was amazing. We would like to thank from the dispatch all the way to the detectives who have worked this case for 37 years. Putnell was the original detective, and then due to his diligence of saving the evidence back then when we didn't even have DNA, but he preserved it all those years ago. And from there it was Detective Van Sciver, and that was back in the 2000s, working the case diligently. And then Detective Newbold and his partner Jason took over from there in around 2015 and stayed on the case, and he kept her picture on his wall. And he told me, I will not retire until I solve this case. And he did. He surely did.
Chewbacca?
I would like to say the family has nothing to do with what the person that did this. I just really
bottle, present, birthday cake, confetti ball.
Confetti bull. Confetti bull. Thanks, Miss Skis.
don't feel like he needs to be vilified or anything. The sins of the father, no. I think that family needs to be left alone. He cooperated, which is astounding. So many people didn't in her case. People who knew her refused to cooperate, which I will never understand. I'd like to thank Sheriff Grady Judd, who has supported this investigation throughout. From day one, he has supported us and the investigation. We appreciate the whole team, and we hope that the knowledge provides comfort to everyone. Her co-workers, she was out with co-workers that day at lunch. She went to lunch. I hope it gives everybody comfort to know.
Yeah, 86
that
is
we
right
now
at the
know
beginning
this.
of like DNA.
We know.
Even knowing what it was.
We also would like to offer encouragement to other homicide victims. Don't give up. They don't give up. And as long as they don't give up, you don't give up. Don't give up. My family and I are moving forward in an attempt to just get past this. I don't know if my sister Lynn wants to say something very quickly. We would just like to thank everybody
I haven't
for
heard
the
about her
hours
son
and
yet.
hours that they
Maybe
put
somebody
in
asks the
on
question
this.
later.
Thank you.
A lot of question time here. He's got another. This is 20 more
Now,
minutes.
Betty wasn't going to speak, but I don't know that I've
Oh, here we
ever
go.
met a stronger lady in my life, and certainly a stronger mother. Her son died in a diving accident
Oh.
in Itchinatuckney Springs,
Oh,
I believe.
geez.
Doing what 23-year-old kids do. They swim, they jump off of
Oh,
docks,
where?
and
That's crazy.
he broke his neck.
I heard that
in a
earlier. I
swimming
wasn't sure who he was
accident.
talking about.
And then a year and a half later, she's the one that walked in and found her daughter, not just murdered, but horribly, horribly, horribly murdered.
Or maybe it's a different son.
And it's this wonderful family and our passion
I think it's a different
to
son.
solve
Hold on a second.
cases, just murdered, but horribly, horribly, horribly murdered. Diving accident in
They put in on this.
Let me see what they're talking about again.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that that's the victim's son.
Now, Betty wasn't going to speak, but I don't know that I've ever met a stronger lady in my life, and certainly a stronger mother. Her son died in a diving accident
So this lady right here, I think, is Betty. Her son died in a diving accident, and then her daughter died just a little later.
in Itchinatuckney Springs, I believe.
I know, Katie. I just
Doing what
figured it out.
23-year-old
Thanks.
kids do. They swim, they jump off of docks, and he broke his neck in a swimming accident. And then a year and a half later, she's the one that walked in and found her daughter, not just murdered, but horribly, horribly, horribly murdered. And it's this wonderful family and our passion to solve cases for the victims and to bring justice that caused us to never give up. But it really, really helps when the family never gives up. So, Betty, would you come up here and speak to them for just a second from your heart?
All I want to say is I'm 84 years old. I lived to see this done. I think that's why I lived so long.
Yeah, I hope she lives
Matt,
long.
come on up. You got to meet the guy who put all of this together and never gave up. And he started explaining to me all the details that he had to go through in order to solve it. And I said, Matt, you're way over my head. But I want you to meet this detective who is simply the very best homicide detective that I've ever been around, and our entire team is outstanding. But he never, ever, ever, ever gives up on his cases. Give him a brief overview of what you did on this case, brother.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Matthew Newbold, and
Doesn't look like he sleeps more than 2 minutes a night, but good for him.
I work cold case, as you know, and during this case, I started working in 2015. In 2022,
By the way, who wouldn't think being a cold case detective would be like the greatest job in the world? With all the case files, every little thing, and being able to use your creativity to kind of come up with, like, wow, what about, okay, let's do, it would just be amazing. I don't know if I would sleep at all, because you'd just be digging through, moving on, and trying to figure out this one and that one, and it'd just be so amazing.
partnered with the Author Incorporated Lab. It gave us the ability to sort through family trees, which is a painstaking process in order to work our way down to the offender. And that's what we did in this case. It's a very long, painstaking process.
He had brown hair when all this started. Okay, that's great. I do want to make say one statement from an editorial perspective.
How the hell? By the way, who the hell wouldn't want to work for Grady Judd? I mean, or be on his team?
You know, every time we find a new technology to solve crimes, bring suspects to justice, and resolve cases for families, we're attacked.
Thanks, Walker.
And as a result of being attacked for all the technology, I want you to know, had we not persevered and had this technology not been here, we would have never brought resolution of this horrible, horrible event to this family. And certainly the suspect is deceased and he can't be sent to prison for a long time. But my prayer is that he was in mental prison for what he did his entire life. And to give you an illustration of that, and I'm going to push Lynn to talk a little bit. Tell them about the bumper stickers on the car that was new technology at the day that people resisted. Come up here and tell them that new technology would have made a difference then, and ultimately it occurred, and now this new technology made a difference. But as a society, we've got to continue to do better to solve crimes, but more importantly, to prevent crimes from occurring. So tell them about the technology that Teresa had on her car.
Teresa was a very petite female, and she started working as a nursing assistant at 18. By the time she was about 21, 22, she was a phlebotomist. Then she became a respiratory technician and then a nurse, and she saw suffering. She used to cry when she had to stick babies for blood, and she cried when the teenagers came in car wrecks. She liked working as ICU because she provided comfort to those suffering and to their families. Back then, 911 was not universal. It had been around for a couple decades, but it wasn't real prevalent. And they were trying to get it on the ballot in Florida, and people were against it. It was government watching you, big brother, don't do it. There was a lot of conspiracy about it. She had 2 bumper stickers on her car. One said, "Vote for 911." The other one said, "Don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here." Because of the way she was killed and the length of time that passed between my mom found her, which was about probably 10 hours by guesstimates, she couldn't donate her organs. But she was the kind of person that if you asked her about something, she would engage in dialogue. So hopefully that encouraged some people to consider that pathway. There was no 911. When my mother, who was horrified by this thing that happened, she had to go to Teresa's refrigerator and find the little magnet that we used to have back then that had the sheriff's number on it, and then she had to have the presence of mind to call that and come up with my sister's address, and she'd only been to the house twice. Teresa hadn't lived there that long. So a lot has gone into this, and if you think back to the paranoia back then to 911, and you think about what we use it for today, which is a little bit of everything right down to complaints about your hamburger order, it wouldn't have made a difference in Teresa's case. But in cases where women and occasionally men are being violated by perpetrators, it's a rapid way to get to people. So we appreciate the DNA. I don't care how they get it. I don't care how they get it. I don't care if they use your DNA, 23andMe or whatever it's called. I don't care. Detective Putnell managed to get that evidence, and this gentleman and his company managed 37 years later to use that. We don't have closure for grief. There will never be closure when you have something this violent against a decent human being. It's not human. It's not humane. So for that, we will have no closure. But we have closure of questioning constantly, because when it's a deliberate act, you question everybody, her best friend, her ex-boyfriend, the cousins, anyone she's run into in the last 5 years. So all of this technology is here as a benefit, and I'm telling you, the only people complaining about it are those who don't want the technology used, and there's a reason for that. And I do want to say, Matthew Newbold has been just amazing. The whole team was good, but I really can't say enough about what he and Jason did together. And Sheriff Judd, he allowed them to do what they needed to do. He gave them a lot of leeway. And many sheriffs would not have done that. And so we're so grateful. And that's all I want to say. Thank you for being with us to honor Teresa's memory today.
Acknowledge her, Teresa, please.
Thank you very much.
Acknowledge her new granddaughter.
Yes, also we have our Teresa Wooters is the granddaughter of Teresa Scalf. She's here today. And she didn't have the opportunity to know her grandmother because of this horrific act. So at the end of the day, we can only hope that he suffered every day mentally for his horrible, horrible acts against this beautiful lady who went to work every day to save lives, to improve people's lives, and to care about folks. This is a classic example of how evil should never prevail, and we've got to all work together to keep that from occurring. Sure.
Do you have any sense of what the motive was?
We believe it was a sexual rejection. We think he had some interest in her sexually, and obviously she didn't have any. We saw a lot of defensive wounds. She never had a relationship with him. So we believe that he was angry and upset because she wouldn't have a relationship with him.
Thank you, Frida 657. Let me hear this again. What do you say?
Sure.
Do you have any sense of what the motive was?
We believe it was a sexual rejection. We think he had some interest in her sexually, and obviously she didn't have any. We saw a lot of defensive wounds. She never had a relationship with him. So we believe that he was angry and upset because
for the birthday wishes.
She wouldn't have a relationship with him.
Was he ever on your radar?
He was never on the radar. He was interviewed during the original Neighborhood. He had the right answers. He didn't have any obvious injuries that we're aware of. And he was just one more of the neighbors we talked to. We talked to all of the neighbors in the area, and he didn't arouse any suspicion in the detectives at the time at all. Other people did. We investigated and investigated and investigated several people, and we ultimately were able to eliminate them because we just didn't have evidence. But this guy was never ever on the radar.
Happy birthday, great birthday.
Yes, ma'am. Come up here.
We'll watch
I
the
just
complete
need
show
to say-
after it's over.
It was pouring down rain that day. It rained all day and it was
Come up
still
here
misty
so they
rain
can-
that night. All I want to say is it was
Come right up
raining.
here.
It was raining very hard all day, and it was still misty rain that night. It was just before Halloween, and because of the rain, people were not out. Usually the kids would be out playing, but it was raining. They were not out. And of course, by the time, I think she was killed in around 3:30 in the afternoon.
Because Sheriff Grady Judd is a Polk
By the time
County
I got
sheriff.
there at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, all the evidence had been washed away by the rain. That's why they had such a hard time trying to find him, because the rain had washed away everything, the blood, the footprints, everything. So they turned I was there. They turned the dogs loose. Dogs could do nothing. The rain had washed it all away. So the detectives have done a marvelous job. They have.
Yes, ma'am.
Teresa had told us about some creepy neighbor that had showed up at her house with what looked like he had yanked a flower up out of the ground and
Thank you,
slapped it
E.I.
into a
rule.
pot. And he was sort of stalkerish. She had told us about him, but she'd never described him. So anybody, but especially ladies, if someone's being creepy, don't just tell your sisters. Tell them what he looks like. They knew. They went through that neighborhood repeatedly. Turned out the guy lived right behind her. She didn't know him. She didn't know his name. My mom worked at the hospital. It was much smaller back then. We all knew each other. I've worked there, my sister, my brother, we've all worked there. And when she didn't show up to work, they called my mom. My mom broke into my sister's house with a credit card. My mother's not a master thief.
I don't think it was in the
So if
rain.
she could
Is that
break
what they
into that
said?
house with a credit card,
Must
it
have missed
wasn't
it.
really hard. I don't know if he was waiting for her. It would make sense based on what was there. She had gone out to lunch
Happy
with friends and
birthday,
returned.
Greg.
My mom
Party
talked to her at
face.
the phone at
Cheers and
2:30.
God bless.
She said, go ahead and pick my son up from school. Mom took him home. She worked midnight shift. It wasn't unusual to fall asleep. And then when she didn't show up, Mom thought she went straight into work. But my point of all this is, if you are getting a creepy vibe, don't just tell your sisters, this creepy neighbor is doing weird things. Give a description. If we had had that description that the sheriff just showed you, that would have narrowed it right down. Large man, scruffy, 30-ish. Think what that would have done to the witness, to the potential pool of suspects. So please, I'm looking around at a lot of women in here, and I do know men get stalked. And I do know guns equalize the odds. I also know they equalize the odds for us women in our favor.
Thank you.
What sort of evidence was preserved from the scene, though, after all these years that you all were able to collect that DNA?
That blood. That's when there's defensive wounds and when a knife shoots, you're obviously looking for scratches on the suspect. You're looking for where they possibly cut themselves. Obviously, he was cut in the process. There was blood. His blood was there. But they talked to this guy, and they didn't see anything. So, I mean, that's 30-something years ago, and I can tell you that we worked diligently then because she was a young lady. She was viciously murdered. This was not a lover's quarrel gone bad. It was abundantly evident that someone had horribly murdered this lady. So whenever the neighborhood was done, for whatever reason, there was no evidence other than his blood at the scene, which means he should have been injured, but they didn't see anything. But thank goodness the crime scene folks did a remarkable job, or we wouldn't have had anything today.
Could you tell us about him, who he was, what he did? Was he married, divorced?
At the time, he and his brother owned D&D Electric. He was an electrician. And he was not married, I don't think, at the time. And he had no arrest record, was on no one's radar. Matt, do you have other details about him?
No, sir, that's about it.
He was such a non-event, he didn't even get on the radar screen at all back in the day.
And so, was there forced entry into the house, or do you just think he got
They got into the house some way through, and I don't even remember. Matt, do you remember how? I don't remember those details.
What we could tell you is that there was no forced entry to the residence. And it was actually secured, like Betty said, when she got there.
Can you speak to the DNA itself? I mean, this was made possible through 23andMe and Ancestry.com, like those kinds of programs. And then how do you link it? You find out DNA that
No,
somebody's
that's not
living
where it was
nearby.
made available.
How did that all work?
Well, without getting too much of the weeds on it, but yes, we use programs that we work with a genealogy company. And we basically build a family tree of DNA that people publicly put out there that we could use. So they have to opt into that. Not everybody.
Hey, thanks, Dana. 197 or 1972. It's better, right? M10. Cheers to another amazing year. Happy birthday anniversary. Yep. That was another long year. A crazy year.
As their DNA open to the public like that, if you use 23andMe, but you can opt in to do that. And that's how we start building the family tree in a nutshell.
How was he related to this affair from 1949?
He's not related to that per se, but there was one of the distant family members, we were able to track that family line up to the Douglas family line and then connected them. So yes. Yes.
Painstaking, I know.
Very painstaking, very difficult to sit here and explain. You'd have to look at charts and graphs, and you'd probably still get lost. But thanks to the help to the lab and the genealogist. And really thanks to the help to our sheriff and his staff for giving us the opportunity to be able to do that.
And that led you to identify the son?
Well, yes, we knew based on looking at the family tree, it led back to Mr. Douglas.
Hey, thank you,
and
Mrs. C.
Which is deceased. But we knew that he had a son, so we were able to get the son's DNA, which confirmed that he would be the son of the offender.
How did you feel after all these years being able to connect the dots and finally solve this?
Well, I just feel good for the family, and that's what I'm going to do. Not to our knowledge. His DNA is obviously in the Dakota's database, so if there is any other connections ever made, we'd be able to make that connection, but not at this time.
And his DNA was put in the CODIS back in the early 2000s. And obviously it's not hit at this time. But quite frankly, it's because people agree to let us look at their DNA. And the fact is, this affair from 1949, Douglas probably didn't even know these people. They're that distant a relative. But based upon that, then you have to build the tree and work forward to somebody that is a closer relative. And the only help you get, it's either on mom's side or dad's side. So you can eliminate half of the country at one time.
What was the son say?
He was just mortified. Just mortified. His dad had never been arrested, never had any trouble. And here we're telling him his dad he didn't just murder somebody. It wasn't like he had a fight in a bar and hit somebody. He stabbed and cut and mutilated this lady.
Could I say one more thing?
You can say anything you want, Mama. We don't mess with mamas around here.
Now she's like,
She had been out, she worked the night shift, and she had gone out with some other nurses for breakfast. And I think she didn't get home until around 11 o'clock. I don't know what time she got home. But she had spilt tea on herself at the restaurant. When she got home, she undressed and put on this big, long robe. She always had a latch on her door. She would have never opened her door to a stranger wearing that gown, that house coat. Whenever he got in probably through the glass sliding doors in the back. But he was inside that house waiting on her when she got there. That much I know, because she would have never, ever let a stranger in.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
well, there you go, man. The amazing Grady Judd. Awesome. And, the amazing technology of forensic genetic genealogy. That's why we, the freaks, we've actually, over the last 3.5, 4 years, have put $70,000 into a fund where we have 14 cases that we ourselves have funded. So that's one of the things we all feel really proud about over here. I think about 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them have been solved so far. And we have a whole bunch in the works. The oldest one is from 1934-ish. The Addison County Doe, where they're trying a new technology to get the profile. Well, actually, they've already got whatever profile they can, but they're using different technology where it comes up with it's a little different than normal, and you have to be taught on how to use it. And Misty Gillis was taught on how to use it for the FGG portion and see where it goes. Alright. Yeah, so good stuff. And that's the house right there. Crazy, huh? Next door neighbor lived right behind her, so maybe right there. You know what we should do is, what's the guy's name? Just to see for, what the hell? Just a second. Teresa Scalf. Let's see what his name is. Hold on, I need to get my music playing. It's bugging me again. Donald Douglas. Donald Douglas, and this is in, where the hell is this? Crystal Lake, Florida, maybe? What was the name of that town? Ah, shit, hold on a second. I gotta do this for myself. The address was in the first article. It was, Lakeland. Search by. We already got that. Lakeland, Florida. And how old was he? Well, I guess he would have been. He was 54, right? Is he dead? When did they say he died? Anybody remember? So he might not even be in here. Donald Douglas. Yeah. So he would have been. Anybody know? 2008 died, and he was. How old was he? 55. So that would make him 65, 70-ish, right around there, right? So he was 55, right? In 2008. So you add 15 to that. No, so about 70. So 70 or 71, right? He was 54, so 69 then, maybe? Donald Lee Douglas. Yeah, that one doesn't says he's still alive, so that can't be him. How about the one that's 70? That one says he's still alive, so that's not him. How about 71? He's still alive. 72. What do you mean St. Mary's, Georgia? What does that mean? Is that where he lived at the time when he died? What are you saying, Missy 6? Donald. My experiment's taking too long now. No thanks. What are you talking about, Kelly? That doesn't make any sense. St. Mary's, Georgia. Is that what you're saying? Where he used to live, Missy 6? I'm going to wait about 10 more seconds, and I'm moving on to something else. Guess not. All right, forget it. All right, I'm going to get the hell out of here. So let's, shit, I don't know. I was going to switch over. I'm not going to keep working on that. I was going to try to see where if he been verified had the address right behind the house, you know. Just wanted to see exactly where he lived, but, you know, if it's accurate, he might have lived in this one, or this one. Don't know. Countdown what? What does that mean? Are we still here? Are we still on the air? The comments are so random. They're just strange almost. Anybody there? Hello, 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 hello. Anybody there? Anybody. Thanks, Michelle H. I mean, like there's 400 and something people and nobody's typing. Wild. Like 0 typing in there. I'm hatred, LOL. What does that mean? Can anybody help me here? What are people talking about? I'm hatred. What? What does that mean? Please. Right. Yeah, well, you might think it must be, but we don't know. A lot of times they say directly behind, but it doesn't really mean that. Like I would probably say directly behind even if it was this one, you know. That's why I wanted to get it, but well, let me try one last effort here. Hey, thanks, Superfly. Who was 33 at the time. So in 86 he was 33. So 33 plus, so about the same. So it'd be 33, and if you added, let's see, 30. God, what is that? 86, 34 would make it 2020. So 34, 35, 36, 37, but he'd be 70, right? Like 70 years old, but doesn't have his full name, so it's hard to. It's just Donald Douglas. No, we don't know what his son's name is, though, Mother, so how would we do that? In the article. I've been living with her 8-year-old son. We never got to hear about the son for some reason. Yeah, and all it says is his son gave a blood sample. Mm-hmm. Alright. Well, that's it. Not a big deal. So let's look up some of this Brian Koberger shit here. Just a second. So Brian Koberger's murder trial. Surviving students were awake and texting while roommates massacred, report says. I mean, whose report? Is this another leaked thing? A father of one of the victims learned that the 2 survivors allegedly had not only been awake while the killings had taken place, but they had heard everything. See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that Dylan Mortensen, now her name pops into my head, She remembered, she heard every single thing. This information allegedly comes from Steve Gonzalez. It wouldn't have saved anybody's life, you guys. Everyone thinks, man, if they had just said something. What? He killed everybody in about 6 minutes, maybe 7. This information allegedly comes from Steve Gonzalez, the father of victim Kaylee Gonzalez. He allegedly learned this information from an individual who served in the grand jury that voted to indict suspect Brian Koberger on 4 counts of murder in the deaths of Madison Mogan, Gonzalez, Jana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Yet Steve had been told that the 2 survivors allegedly had not only been awake while the killings had taken place, but they had heard everything. Reports Air Mail. Let's see what this one says. Alright, maybe we should... Do we have to pay for this one, or how do you get in there? Is this... Alright. Let me try this off the books program over here to see if I can get into this thing. 12-foot ladder, it's called. Cairo showed me that. And look at that, it worked. Can you believe it? Isn't that awesome? So you can actually see the damn thing now. People say time heals all wounds. They tell you you'll get over it, but they never buried their child. That stays with you. It works on you. It sinks in deep and never lets go. Let me just start reading it down here. Kaylee Gonzalez had solved the mystery. Had solved the mystery. All evening it had been gnawing at her, the disconcerting image fixed in her mind. Actually, it first grabbed her earlier that afternoon, October 5th, 2021, a surprisingly cool Tuesday in the pleasant university town of Moscow, Idaho. After classes, Kaylee, who loved to shop, and her boyfriend at the time, Jack DeCoeur, had headed to the Walmart Super Center on Pullman Road, just a quick drive from the University of Idaho campus. The warehouse store was vast and ugly, situated atop acres of black asphalt. The 2 students had been wandering through the maze of harshly lit aisles when Kaylee first noticed the grandmotherly woman. She had a pale, I don't even know, this is just part of it. Then when Kaylee DeCoeur, I'll put this in the description if you guys want to. I don't want to read the whole thing, I just kind of want to get to the part where it's talking about. So let me just I'll put this link in here. It'll be the first source at the top, okay? So you can go read the whole dramatic thing. Okay, so that's her. No one knew what happened, and the absence of real information is increasingly feverish. Let's see. At the same time, calls were made to local hotels asking if a woman matching Sharon had checked in. Both searches were futile. What are they talking about? Jesus, I guess. Moments after all the pieces had clicked into place in her mind, Kaylee promptly telephoned the Moscow Police Department. Really? What the hell is she talking about? Did she try to do some... I think she was into true crime, wasn't she? Yep, it is my birthday. And now, hours later, she knew she had just seen the face again, this time on a missing person flyer. The woman Kaylee was convinced was Sharon Archer, a frail 62-year-old encumbered by diabetes and brain damage who had abruptly vanished a week earlier from the house she shared with her husband. So she's thinking that she's seeing a missing person. Okay. Well, now in December 2022, a little more than a previously unimaginable year later, the Sharon Archer case and the minor role his daughter had played in the hunt suddenly reared up in Steve Gonzalez's newly agitated mind as if summoned signposts as he searched for the means to make his way through the battering pain of his own bereavement for Steve and his wife and the remaining 4 children. Less than a month earlier, in the dreary... Let me just move, see if I can find, like... let me see if I can find, like... what the hell? Dylan. Right there. He had compiled some startling revelations, hard-won information he triumphantly disclosed to his newfound internet associate. Hey, thank you, A. Do I know who A is? Do I know you, A? Anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Later, a police affidavit revealed that one of the survivors, Dylan Mortensen, had in fact heard noises and had left her room only to spot a masked, darkly clad intruder making his way through the residence before she retreated to her room and did not summon help for another 8 hours. Yet Steve had been told that the 2 survivors allegedly had not only been awake while the killings had taken place, but they had heard everything. More astonishingly, his grand jury sources allege that the 2 girls had been texting one another as the murderer methodically went from one room to the next. Man, that must have been absolutely terrifying. The possibility that 2 people had a sense of the horror while it occurred and had not acted, calling neither friends nor 911, left Steve floored. Well, it wouldn't have saved anybody. And no less confounding, they didn't probably know that there were people being stabbed. They'd heard everything, they just weren't sure, and they didn't want to know. You get what I'm saying? I mean, can't you picture sort of a similar situation where you're hearing stuff? A lot of times there's weird stuff there, and you don't really want to see because it might be something really bad, so you're just kind of... I mean, some people are just different, you know? Like, everyone wants to say, oh, not me, man, I would have called 911. But, you know, you're in college. You don't want to be the guy that overreacted and had cops showed up there. And so Steve intensified his efforts to get answers. And in that dogged process, he came to believe that the government must have a protected source, an informant, who would provide testimony that would tighten the screws that held together the case against Koberger. I'm going to go back and read some more. Crime dissector. Man, that delay is so long. Right. Yeah, it is quite the delay. It's crazy. Not sure what's going on. Wild. Let me go back up here. And no less confounding that if sources were as knowledgeable as he believed, then let hour after hour after hour tick away before they finally decided to summon friends. It added an entirely new band of mystery to a crime. And this has all been known now, right? Like, we're not like, you know, this isn't new. And so Steve intensified his efforts to get answers. And in that dogged process, he came to believe that the government must have protected a protected source, an informant, who would provide testimony that would tighten the screws that held together the case against Koberger. Steve was determined to talk to them. He did not want to wait for the trial to get the knowledge he needed. For his peace of mind, he needed relief now. And after some digging, he grew convinced he had the informant in his sights. He was preparing to reach out to this individual, to get right in his face and confront him. Why would you get in his face? He would explain that he was empowered by a father's nature natural fight to understand fully the last moments of his daughter's life. In fact, it was his duty. It was an argument he felt no one could reject. And at least he would know the whole story of what had really happened to Kaylee and why. But before he could make his move, before he could get in a room and have a heart-to-heart talk with the witness, he was unexpectedly stopped in his tracks by the FBI. The Bureau had sent an official letter to Steve's attorney in Moscow, Shannon Gray, warning that if there were any attempts to contact the individual Steve had been pursuing, there would be legal consequences. The witness had originally reached out to the authorities through a tip line. So this is where you sort of, and here's the truth, everybody. Is Steve Gonzalez somebody law enforcement should feel comfortable giving secret information to? Put a 1 if you think he is. I'm not even saying, I think most parents would be exactly like Steve Gonzalez. But is he really somebody that if you were going to say, hey, listen, we're going to keep you in the loop here, you can't say anything? He says stuff all the time. That's all he does. He goes around and just... So, I mean, I know that's sort of the double-edged sword, everybody. You know, you can be like that, but you're not going to be trusted by anybody in law enforcement to give you information, to give you the peace of mind that you needed. And so I totally respect him for his efforts out there, but you can't really blame law enforcement for not wanting to share really, you know, like he's going after this informant. I wonder how he figured that out, by the way. So I guess apparently there's this person out there that can absolutely, you know, seal the case against Brian Koberger. The witness had originally reached out to the authorities through a tip line. Oh, interesting. So this is crazy. The Bureau had sent an official letter to Steve's attorney in Moscow, Shannon Gray, warning that if there were any attempts to contact the individual Steve had been pursuing, there would be legal consequences. The witness had originally reached out to authorities through a tip line that promised to protect the identities of anyone volunteering information, and the Bureau was duty-bound to honor the commitment. And the letter went on to make clear with an intimidating force the fact that Steve was the father of one of the victims, gave him no dispensation from the legal consequences that accompany tampering with a government witness. Stymied, Steve skulked away. The promise of real understanding was out there, yet still tantalizing beyond his grasp. And with this setback, he fell into a period of stasis. Racked by frustration and despair, all he could do was send a disheartened text to one of his fellow internet detectives. There is so much more to this story than is in the media. So, man, he's just going to stoke conspiracy theories and shit like that. This is right up the alley of the clown. Actually, communicates sometimes with one of the people that he communicates with. Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff, but it's not, you know. Let's see. Memories live in the past. Dreams, however, are part of an idealized vision of what the world might become. And so thwarted in his sleuthing, still staring with bitterness at hard mysteries he cannot crack, Steve has explained his focus. If he cannot conduct the investigation provoked by his memories of his daughter, he will at least ensure that at some distant appointed time there will be a measure of justice. Therefore, on the Gonzalez family Facebook page, he, his wife, and his daughter, Olivia, along with other relatives, appear in hoodies displaying a steely message: Justice for Kaylee, House Bill 186, shots fired. The Idaho State Legislature Bill 186, passed last spring, affirmed that if the chemicals required for an intravenous execution were unavailable, a death sentence could be fulfilled by a firing squad. It is an unforgiving promise Steve is making. Yet, can I, a father, too cavalierly criticize the wild dimensions his bereavement encompasses? Who am I to challenge the intensity of the grief? How can I dare to point out the terrible irony in avenging murder with murder? Ah, shut up. Don't make this an idiotic anti-death penalty conversation. It's called an eye for an eye. Society's punishment. It's like the person who wrote this must be like pro-Palestinian, right? What do you mean the Israelis are going to attack back? I mean, what's better when they kill? Well, how about when you got barbarians breaking into your homes and killing people? Then they get to fight back. I can't. Man, this makes me. Can't stand shit like that. It's not irony at all. It's not. There's no ironic element to Steve Gonsalves's thought, right? I mean, I think everybody, and it would be way more merciful than what these barbarians in Hamas did. Let's see if there's any quick little update. I might make it a shorter show. Maybe I can go chill out for a little bit. But I'm going to see if there's a... the IDF, the last, he was going to do like a live... Is that it right
United
there?
Nations revealed the true face of Hamas when
The IDF currently striking Hezbollah. Ooh, Jesus.
they confirmed that Hamas took
That was earlier. Let's see what this one said. Dear IDF soldiers and commanders, the state of Israel is at war and will prevail. There's no doubt about it. The state, I mean, there's zero. Let me just say this. There's zero doubt that Israel will win this. Okay. Zero. There is zero doubt. They have. I mean, if it came down to it, they have nukes where none of the other people do. Right. On Saturday morning, October 7, 2023, a Hamas terror organization commenced a murderous surprise attack against the state of Israel. They seek to destabilize Israel's sovereignty by carrying out cruel and criminal actions. During this fateful hour, we are keeping our oath to protect our homeland and Israel's freedom and are fighting back. You notice how the writing here is so much different? Like, take the writings of Hamas in a similar document. It doesn't sound like this, you know. This is the 11th consecutive day that the IDF is striking the enemy from the air, ground, and sea. We destroyed enemy infrastructure, leadership, and capabilities. I think everybody should be like, wow, you guys, they're going to have to go in door to door and in tunnels and shit, man. There's going to be a lot of Israelis are going to die, soldiers, in this thing. We destroyed enemy infrastructure, leadership, and capabilities, and causing significant damage. We will pursue and catch them everywhere and will strike them with force. We took a hard hit and we are responsible, but now the initiative is in our hands. So they're saying they're responsible for the hard hit they took. Every single one of you has a role in the challenges we face ahead. The war will be difficult and long, and the IDF will prevail. The IDF will prevail because of our dedication to our mission, our bravery, and our camaraderie. The IDF will prevail because our war is just. The IDF will prevail thanks to the might of the nation we are part of. We will prevail because of our abilities and because we are trained for the mission. We will prevail, and in everything that we do, we'll act according to the IDF spirit and its values. See how the difference there? Like, this is how, like, civilized people actually speak. Listen to the barbarity in a similar thing if you were going to say it from the Hamas side. We are going to strike down the animals. and cut their head. You know, they're just, it's freaking sick, man. Sickening shit. Israeli people have faced hardships before. The IDF was and still is the protector of the nation, and we are a generation of fighters that are another link to the chain of generations of protectors of the country. Our power and determination and unity will prevail in this chapter of history as well. Be strong and of courage. Man, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be absolutely brutal going in there. Hey, thanks, JD White. I appreciate it. And by the way, everybody, when you see CNN, they're starting to break away and try to, you know, sort of split, you know, like, what do you call it? Thread the needle again. Well, there is no but. There's nothing here. The Israelis are completely justified in what they're doing. They had over 1,000 people murdered by absolute barbarians who killed people who were just doing absolutely nothing to them. Okay? And for anybody out there that's going, well, what about the time? Just shut the hell up, man. It's absolute garbage. Okay? So just know the reality. Yeah, it makes me so angry, you know. And these people having pro-Hamas, or even like you're having a pro-Palestinian kind of event, and what are you celebrating though? That your leaders killed a bunch of babies too, and then cut some of their heads off? What are you talking about? I don't know, man. I don't know how anybody has sort of a but or, well, what about? I think a lot of people are taught wrong and just totally bogus information. You got to wonder, you got to ask yourself this question: why don't Egyptians or Jordan take in refugees from Gaza? Because they know how dangerous those people are. That's why they're doing that. But Israel's supposed to, you know, give me a break. Gray, what do you know about it? Well, a hell of a lot more than you, obviously. All right, let's see. What's the other one here? I thought there was supposed to be another one of those press conferences. I don't see it though. But anyways, that's going to do it, you guys. I think I'm going to make a shorter night. 2 hours and 19 minutes isn't bad. Well, there isn't even two wrongs, though. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, the thing is, see, when you say two wrongs don't make a right, sad for the innocent people. What are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, the Israelis got to do what they got to do, and if it ends up killing civilians on the Palestinian side, it is what it is. You can't help it, you know? They've waited 3-4 extra days to let people move from the northern part to get out of there. Yeah, so when you say, like, two wrongs don't make a right, who's the other wrong? There is no wrong on the Israeli side in this situation. Zero, okay? Does everybody see that? Or are you reading the propaganda shit that's out there and then go, oh, well, I don't know, Gray, that's one time. Yeah, I'm just going to eat some chocolate cake. Yeah. All right. What do you mean two wrongs? Where's the other wrong? You got the Hamas wrong. Where's the other wrong? Anybody? Anybody type that in? Where's the other wrong? Yeah, right. Okay. Talking about all of the history. If there's a past with Israel. Yeah, I mean, I've already explained, though, the past is a situation where... I'm not going to do it again. It takes too long to explain it. But, yeah, you can go back and watch one of the other shows. I just want to go get a rest. I want to get some rest here. So anyways, thank you guys for being so generous on my birthday and everything. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all the mods for being here. And... So thanks for Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal, Karen Andrews, Rhea Mazzarone, Circa Then, Bridget Bauman, Wendy Johnson, CR, Tamara, not today, but tomorrow, Kathy Chapin, T-Bell, Tamara's Favorites, so is the other one, Elaine Talling, Eugenie, Maria, Wendy Johnson, Allie Kate, Kit Kat, Gwendolyn B, LM, Jessica Schubach, WNC Granny, Simply Me, Esther M, Wild Mountain Time, Just Junie, Live Free or Die, Carolina T, Charlotte Denny with a cat eye, CR, WNC Granny, Live Free or Die, Tracy Seamer, Kathy Chapin, Georgina Stoliker, Bama Forever with a cat eye, Kathy Friedenmaker, Caligal 3. And by the way, let me just say this. There's stuff that's happened in the past, but it's not anything like that. It's not terrorism shit. Okay, so like when you try to make an equivocation like, well, there might have been things bad in the past, and they're just doing something too, so it's just another wrong, and so it's the same thing, but making another wrong isn't right. That's not the reality of it. The reality is shit happens, like sometimes a rocket will get fired and the Israelis shoot and kill somebody, and there's things like that. But the Israelis have never gone into Gaza, into homes, and just battered up babies and killed kids just walking around, laughing gleefully as they're killing all these. I mean, it was an absolute terror event. So, if you were going to say another wrong, it would be something really simple like, they just came over and, I can't even come up with an example because they're so extremely different, right? So when you say that, it's like that means that there was an event that happened, and then the event that the Hamas did was equal. It's just that two wrongs don't make a right, right? So that's what my argument is. All right, anyway, so then it was Bama Forever with a cat eye, then Kathy Friedmaker, then Caligal 3 with a double cat eye, then Big D, then Ali 79, then Miss Skiffs, Frida 657, EI Rule, and then Dana 1972, M10, Mrs. C, Michelle H, and then A with a cat eye, and JD White. Awesome. So there you go, everybody. I appreciate you guys being here tonight, and I know it's a sort of like nuanced conversation. I'm just talking about how I think about it. All right. So, anyways, thank you guys very much, and maybe I'll go get a piece of cake again. Anyways, I really appreciate it, and also let me thank there was a couple people on. There's actually another one there. So Paulette Leonard and Cindy J, and then also Miss Simpson and Stacy Galloway, and also Kelly Snyder on PayPal. So thank you guys very much. And there you go. Oh, hold on. Had not only I don't know. Somebody said there was a statement made. I don't have time to read it, so I'll bring it up tomorrow. Nikki Zubs sent it in. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Good night, everybody.
Quite a while now. It's a little early, don't you think? And during this whole time, I have seen one person.
I just woke up from my nap after drinking.
Oh, jeez.
Crime dissector, flag projector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher.
What do you mean you didn't
if you
see
try
it?
and
What does
play
that
me
mean?
like an old projector. Crime sector.
She already
is
sang
my
Happy
nectar.
Birthday.
Professor Grader's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak
I did have a birthday
connector,
party.
and I'm always gonna be a pup protector.
Well, yesterday they
Fool
came over.
deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody?
Thanks, everybody. But I'm not a tease. I'm not a teaser. I'm most definitely not. But I'm not a tease. I'm not a skeezer. I'm most definitely not a... I can't even do that one.
Yeah, don't sing that one. That's too short. Every other word's a swear word, so can't really do it. Yeah, bonus beat. Alright, guys. See you later. Oh, and thanks again, everybody. You guys are awesome. And I'll post a link to the our scholarship fund if anybody wants to, throw in extra funds if you want. I'm still putting $6,000 regardless of my own money into it. All right, so thank you guys very much. I'll put it in the community section.